What's up, everyone? All right, so finishing Friday, the end of the week here, the 12th trading day of 2018, up $5,325. Not bad at all. But you know what? Today was actually the most difficult day of the week because I had my biggest loser of the week. I had a $3,000 loser today. Despite that, I still closed up $5,000. So all in all, a good day. But in the midday market recap, I'll break down that trade that put me in the red and kind of made it a little bit more difficult for me to finish today in really good shape. So as you can see, I'm trading from a hotel again. This is the 6th or 7th day trading from a hotel, but it's been great. I've had great trades, been making a lot of money, and now I'm starting to get a little superstitious. I'm thinking maybe I should just keep trading from hotels because making $5,000 a day has been awesome. And that's one of the things that you'll notice about traders is that we can get a little superstitious, much like a professional athlete. And it's because this is a performance sport. Every single day we come into the market, we need to perform. This isn't like a job where, you get promoted to general manager or whatever it is. You get promoted to director of something, and then you just, you do your work and whatever. This is a job where every single day you got to come in and you got to hit, 3-point shots. I mean, you've got to keep delivering. And so I know for me, when I have a couple bad days, it starts to, put stress on me because I'm thinking, geez, did something change? Did something happen? What was different about today? And was it this shirt I was wearing? You'll notice I almost never wear red shirts when I'm trading. No, that is not a coincidence. That is superstition. I try as much as I can not to give into it, but there's a lot of money on the line. So it's easy for us to start to get that way. And so for me here, this being such a great start to the year, trading in the hotel, it's going to be hard going back to my home office. It's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. Even though it's my comfort zone, it'll take a few days for me to kind of get settled in there and get used to it again. So come Monday morning, I'll be back in my office and I'll probably bring down the size a little bit just in those first few days as I get readjusted to having all of those monitors and all of that space. So anyways, I'm here in LA, in Beverly Hills. It was a good drive yesterday. Left Santa Barbara, and because the 101 is closed just south of Santa Barbara, and that's the only quick way to get to LA, we had to drive up the 101. And what was nice is that we stopped at a couple of beaches along the way. There's 3 state park beaches that we stopped at. You get a pass for one, and you can go into, I guess, all of them. So we stopped in a couple of beaches, walked around on the sand a little bit, made our way up, and then eventually you get all the way up to the I-5, and you go through this long stretch that's through the mountains. And the thing that's kind of crazy is that it's like an 80-mile stretch with no cell service at all, which is crazy. No cell service. And one of the things that we were noticing is that people were driving really, really aggressively because it's just, regular 2-lane highway. And so you get stuck behind a slow truck, and all of a sudden, you'd see someone coming up behind you, this guy in like a, Dodge Durango going 90 miles an hour trying to pass everybody. And I heard last week that there was an accident on one of those roads, and then it shut down that road, and now there was literally no way to get to LA without going even further north. So many people funneled into this one kind of, windy road through the mountains and kind of this desert landscape. It's crazy, and it's so much different from what I'm used to back east. I mean, this is totally different scenery. So I really enjoyed the drive. I mean, I didn't try to pass anyone. I wasn't too aggressive. I just kind of settled in, said, it's going to be a 5-hour drive, and we'll just listen to some tunes and get through it. And at least it was scenic. Saw some really cool things along the way. And then once we get on the I-5, just driving south down to LA, and it was pretty smooth. Now, I don't know how many of you guys, I'm sure all of you are using navigation of some type. I use Siri. I absolutely love my iPhone, and I love Siri. But here's the problem. My wife always holds Siri. She holds Siri. And I don't know how many of you guys have spouses that engage in this type of hostile behavior, but she holds Siri like this, and so she's an intermediary between me and Siri. So when Siri says something, she then repeats it to me. She says, no, you go left up here, go left. And I think the greatest invention of all time at this point is Apple CarPlay. And I guarantee you, Apple CarPlay was invented by someone who had a spouse that is possessive over Siri. And he said, I want to be able to see Siri on the main screen. And that's why we now have Apple CarPlay. This car that I rented has CarPlay, and it's incredible. When I get back east, I'm going to trade in the Range Rover. I don't care if I trade it in for a Hyundai Sonata, a Kia Forte. I don't care. I just want a car that has Apple CarPlay. That's what I need in my life right now. So I'm really excited to get back east and get myself a car with Apple CarPlay. It's the next generation. If you guys haven't tried it out, you need to try it. It's absolutely incredible. So we're going to be down here in LA today, drive around Beverly Hills, go up to Malibu. Unfortunately, it's kind of a cloudy day. It's a gale warning. It's not going to be that sunny out. It'll be sunny tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to the airport to fly home. So a little bit of a bummer there. I was hoping coming south it would get warmer, it would get sunnier. That doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. So anyways, trading here from the hotel. It was a great day. I'm going to do a little tour of my traveling station. I'm going to make a video this weekend that I'll upload to YouTube. You guys can check it out and give you guys a little tour of California. All right, so before we get into our midday market recap, let's roll that intro video. All right, everyone, let's break down today's trades. So 12th day of the year, 12th day of 2018, finishing the morning up $5,325.12. Let me scroll, let's see, or push this over here so you guys can see it. Here's my P&L for today. Now, as I mentioned, as you guys know, today was actually not the easiest day of the week. It was the most difficult day of the week because I had my biggest loss. This week so far has been, it's been really solid. It's been just, smooth, easy trading, big winners day after day after day. But today was a little bit choppy. So let's look at the first stock that I traded this morning. It was Ford, F-O-R-D. This one was on our watch list this morning for gap and go because it was gapping up and it was looking to open much higher than it closed yesterday. So my very first trade on it was a winner. I jumped in for a break of the pre-market highs. So let me zoom in this 1 minute chart. All right, so pre-market high was 280 or 272. When the market opened, it popped up in kind of a funny way, so I hesitated, and I ended up getting in at 293 and 295. So I ended up trying to take 10,000 shares, but only filling about 7,800, and I sold, tried to sell at 306. I didn't get filled, and so I sold on the bid at 302 and $3 and 303 for like a $500 winner. A kind of a small win. It wasn't anything that exciting. It then pulls back and it forms a little 1 minute micro pullback, which you can see right here. And so I decided to add back. I got back in, again, 10,000 shares for the break over 3 at 97, 99, 98. And then you can see here what happened. It popped up to a high of $3, which was basically only popping up 2 cents. And then it just instantly dropped all the way down to 252. That was a really nasty drop. And I lost 3,000 bucks on it. So that put me, deep into the red today, which is the most red I've been in like a week and a half, stopping out at 264. It just happened so fast. Next thing I knew, I was out, and that was it. So at that point, I was like, okay,
I'm down 3,000 bucks, or close to it. What should I do? Should I just stop trading? Should I just walk away? Should I try to find other opportunities? I'm not really sure. So I sat for a moment and kind of watched the scanners, watched what you guys were trading, and the next one that came up on my scans was CHFS. Now, this was on our gap scanner this morning, so it was already on one of my charts and it was on my radar. I wasn't sure it would be strong, but shortly after the bell rang, 9:35, it started squeezing up. And so it was right under $4 pre-market. And so as I saw it starting to curl up at the $4 spot, I was like, okay, I'll jump into this. So I jumped in at 404, 405, 408, and then I added at 412. I tried to add again at 430. My order got rejected because at that point I already had 12,000 shares, and so I was exceeding the risk limit that I had set on my account. So I tried to add at 430. Order got rejected, and ended up selling a few minutes later. Now, when I first got in, it spiked all the way up to 434. So I was up like 3,600 bucks on it. And then on the next candle, it dropped all the way down to 389, and I was down $2,400. And I was like, okay, that's not pretty, but I'm going to give it until the first 1 minute candle makes a new high before I decide to bail out. New stop will be the low of this pullback, and I'm waiting for the first candle to make a new high. And that ended up happening right here at 410. We pop up at 410 and we squeeze up to 425, and that's where I was selling. 424, selling half on the ask, thinking, okay, I'll reduce my risk on this because anytime I'm in a trade and I go red on it, if I can get back myself just simply back to green, I'm happy with that. I'm no longer thinking about a big win. I'm just thinking about minimizing loss. So selling half as it popped back up I was fine with that. Target was then to sell the rest if it broke over 434 as it went through 440, 450. Now I could have held the whole thing for the move over 450, but like I said, when you have a stock that puts you in the red, I'm no longer at least thinking that I'm going to get this big win out of it. I'm just trying to minimize the loss. So, in this case, it ended up being a $1,600 winner because I sold at 425, sold more at 420, and then stopped out break even on the rest at like 404 and 409. So, not the most impressive trade. It didn't really hold up very well, so kind of disappointing, but a scalp nonetheless. So that got me out of the red. That cut my loss by almost half. So after that trade, I was down about $1,200 on the day. And I was like, okay, I can work with this, moving in the right direction at least. And then we had RCG hit the scanners. So these scanners that I'm talking about, these are the most valuable tools that I have. I guess second to having a broker that allows me to trade fast. If I didn't have a broker that allowed me to trade fast, that would be a problem. But of course, having a fast broker is useless if you can't find stocks to trade. So I don't know which one's more important. But anyways, RCG hits the scanners, as you can see right here. It hits a 62, 64, 63, 65, 79. When I hear a stock hit multiple times in a row like that, I'm often very quick to pull up the symbol, look at the chart, and jump in. I pulled up the symbol, I looked at the chart, and I saw, okay, this has room back up to 220. It's curling back up, so it's got some potential here. And so that's when I jumped in at 73, 75, 77, and adding at 83. I was thinking this might squeeze into a circuit breaker, resume in the 220, 230, 240 area. It could potentially be a really great trade. So on that one, I was in at 186 average or 176 average and was selling as it broke over 2. So it broke over 2, and I was like, okay, time to sell half. Boom, sold half at 208. Then it starts dipping down. I sold a quarter more at 198, but I didn't get filled. I sold the rest at 188, 183. So again, now we've got 2 stocks in a row that have popped up, not held those levels, and dropped back down. We also saw that same thing happen on NSYS. So now we're starting to notice a pattern in the market today where stocks are popping up and dropping back down. We had Ford, CHFS, RCG, NSYS, and there were a couple others as well. So that made me start to think, okay, at this point I might just need to be done for the day. And I had just gone from being down $1,200 to now up about $1,200. So now, I'm green, I'm above the daily goal, a great recovery. And I was thinking maybe I'll just stop with that, but let's just kind of see what looks good. So next trade was Ford. Ford, surprise move. It was ugly at the open, and then all of a sudden at 9:50, it squeezed up 10% and was halted on a circuit breaker. I jumped in. I tried to buy, as you can see here, 7,500 shares. I only filled 2,400. So that's kind of a bummer. Only filled 2,400 with an average of 321. It's halted on a circuit breaker. It resumes and squeezes all the way up to a high of just under 450. So, all of a sudden, in that one trade, I'm selling at, so I end up selling, but first it pops up and it taps 75 and then it pulls back. So remember when these stocks squeeze and are halted and then they drop down a little bit, I like to buy over the high of the halt. So in this case, I wanted to add at 370. So I'm in at 321, I add at 370, 370 and 365. Now I'm adding 7,500 shares, and actually I don't even really remember. That's kind of interesting. I don't remember that being me getting in and out at the same price, but I guess it just didn't hold up, and I got back out of it at 70. So just churning shares there. But then I got back in at 370 a second time and sold that at 388, 382, got back in at 389, sold that at 411. So, 5,000 shares times 20 cents, that's $1,000. And I went from being down $3,000 on the name to up $521. Big turnaround. I mean, really a huge turnaround on that one. A couple more trades as it was, moving higher. My best exit, 434, which is pretty solid. So scalping it, trying to make some money on it, and definitely recovered. I'm only sitting up $521 on that stock, so it's not like I'm a hero or did anything super exciting, but I'm just glad I made back the losses, and I'm green on all 4 stocks I traded today, even though I had a couple losses in there. And then the last trade was ORPN. So this one hits our scanners. As you can see here, Ford's all over the scanners, of course. So let's see, ORPN. It's going to hit the scanners here in a minute. Scrolling up. ORPN. So it hits the scanners, and I'm like, well, it made a big move 2 days ago. I'm not really sure if it's going to do much today. I'll let it pull back for a second, and if it continues higher, then I'll jump in. And so I let it do a little 1-minute pullback, as you can see right here, and that's where I added. For the break over 350, selling on the move here, ended up hitting a high of 440. It was, I underestimated it, but I made $927 on that, so I was happy with that, and puts me up $5,325 on the day. $21,000 profit this week, $69,000 profit this month, and I'm now over $400,000 profit in my account that I started a year ago, January 1st, with $583.15. $583 to 400 grand. It took me a year, but it goes to show that being a successful trader is not about having a lot of money to start with. It's about having knowledge, turning that knowledge into a skill, and having a strategy. That's really it. So, that's my job, is to teach you guys the strategy that I trade every single day. All right, so that's about it for me here today. Trading from LA, trading from the hotel, and just going to finish up my trip here, drive around a little bit this afternoon, maybe make another video that I'll upload this weekend, and then be back on the East Coast come Monday morning. Yeah, so Jez, the entry on RCG, we'll go back to that one. Basically, when I see a stock hit the scanners and I see that it's already moved up fairly quickly, this had already moved from $1.50 up to $1.75. So it had already moved more than 10%. And that made me think, okay, this is a stock that's showing an aptitude to move quickly. I'm going to jump on it. So I got in it in a little bit of an odd place, basically just because I thought it's strong, it's squeezing up, and we're in a market right now where we are seeing a lot of stocks that squeeze up and then they get halted. That's what happened on ORPN earlier in the week. It squeezed up, it got halted, it ended up opening higher and just continuing. So jumping on these quickly can be good. What I do is I set a 10-cent stop. So if I'm in at 74, my stop is 64. So it's kind of like, yes, I'm jumping out on the cliff. I'm taking a risk here, but I've got my belay. I've got my harness on. I'm only risking, 10 feet. And if it works, boom, I'm going to ride the momentum up. So for me, being able to make that decision, when is it the right decision? When is it the wrong decision? It's a little bit tough. And obviously I'm not right on it 100% of the time. I have losses just like anyone else. BURG is one that I saw hit the scanners, but I didn't think it had moved up enough. It hadn't moved 10%. It hadn't made a really decent sized move in the last few minutes when I was watching it here. When it was right here, I thought it was interesting, but I didn't know if I could really trust it. I was just hesitating on it. Someone called it in the room, but when it hit right here, when it popped up right here, it was not on the scanners. So if you're feeling a little bit like unsure about how to choose these, I would refer to waiting for the first 1 minute micro pullback like we did on ORPN, because that's almost always going to be a safer entry, waiting for that pullback. Let's see. Oh yeah, why is this not loading? I don't know. Maybe I was typoing. So yeah, ORPN, that gave us a little pullback. RCG, no pullback. CHFS gave a little bit of a pullback. So that's probably a better thing to do. And then another question is there a way for me to predict if a day is going to be choppy? And the answer is not really, because there's a couple of things that can indicate a possibly choppy day. Number one is day of the week. Fridays are often a little bit choppier than earlier in the week, and that's just probably because a lot of traders take Fridays off and less volume just makes things a little choppier. So number one is day of the week. Number two, we could say, well, what's the gap scanner look like? Do we have a really good gapper? We had an okay gapper. It was forward. It wasn't bad, but we really only had one, and it was ended up just that when the bell rang, it wasn't super clean. It could have been great. I mean, it could have right out of the gates gone up to $4, but instead it chopped around here, pulled back, and then it went up. So, that's not really any rhyme or reason of why that would happen. So there's not a really good way to predict it, I would say, but one of the things you can do is kind of watch the action of the first few stocks, and if the first few stocks are really choppy, it's a good indicator to slow down. Obviously, having said that, if you slow down and said I'm done, you would have missed this whole mid-morning move on Ford. So it's tough. I think that you just kind of have to be able to say, well, my accuracy is whatever it is. Mine is 68, 70%. So some days are choppy, some days are great, and over the long haul, it averages out to 68, 70% accuracy, and I'm okay with that. It is good to be able to learn how to kind of put the pedal to the metal and be more aggressive and when to ease up on the throttle, but that takes a little bit of time. It takes the ability to develop some intuition. And so in the meantime, taking those cues from people like me who are saying, hey guys, it seems choppy today, is probably the easiest way to make sure you're aware of what's going on. All right, so anyways, that's it for me today. I'm gonna be working on a video this afternoon, and at some point editing that and getting it on YouTube, giving you a little kind of tour of my traveling trading station that I've got here. For those of you that are watching, you can see I kind of got my little setup here with my streaming laptop for the chat room, my monitor for this main computer, trading computer, and then this monitor here. So this is kind of the way I have it set up right now. 2 computers, 2 external monitors, and that seems to be working fairly well. So I'll do a separate video where I talk about the equipment I'm using and all that stuff. But for right now, I'll let you guys enjoy the afternoon, get some rest, study up. Monday morning's going to come quick, and I want to make sure we're all able to really capitalize on these incredible opportunities we're seeing almost every single day. Yes, this is the Beverly Wilshire, I think, and I would say it's a lot nicer than the Ritz-Carlton where I was staying in Santa Barbara. I like it better. So Four Seasons seems so far to be nicer, and the internet's working better too. So win-win. All right, was able to make my $5,000. That pays for my stay. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you all first thing on Monday morning. All right, enjoy the weekend.
If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content? Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.